So we just watched the Hummer EV reveal video. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we decided to not share our comments before this video. We're just going to go straight into it, both our own opinions after watching that video. And I kind of want to start.
Go for it.
I love it.
I do too, man.
All right.
Yeah, I went into it almost biased because, you know, I pre-ordered the Cybertruck, right? And so I'm like, oh, this thing isn't going to compete. Almost just wanting to give myself, you know, more credit for my purchase, right? That I made the right decision. But man, this meets Tesla on, and this is the Tesla killer, right? Like this is a direct response to the Cybertruck. I feel like, at least the way they're marketing it, right?
Well, and let's just talk about that. I mean, this is just, of course, you know, the Hummer is what they're calling it. You know, it's basically the first mainstream car manufacturer's serious response to Tesla.
Yep.
Yeah, it took them a few years, 4 years or whatever, but this is their first step, and they will be following up, I'm sure, with more electric vehicle capacity. This is just the first pass. But you're absolutely right. I mean, Tesla wanted some competition. They wanted to push forward EV technology, and GMC has responded.
Mission accomplished, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the performance numbers a little quick.
Yeah.
Which tripped us up when we were listening to it. We thought we maybe heard it wrong, but it's 1,000 horsepower in the Hummer EV. And by the way, this is coming out 2022, 2023, so likely similar timeline to the Cybertruck, if not just a little bit later. But 1,000 horsepower, which is right on par with the Cybertruck, which the tri-motor configuration on the Cybertruck is, I believe, 900 or 950 horsepower. But the torque is what threw me off. So yeah. I believe with the Cybertruck, they're looking at, you know, 1,000 and some foot-pounds of torque, but 11,500 is what GM claims for. Do you believe that's right? I don't know. Like you said, I don't know what the torque conversion or the gearing or how those numbers work with electric motors, but
we'll just say 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. They're both in the same ballpark, right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Now, I also have to say they didn't say the price. Now there is rumors of the price. That's six figures, right?
Well, I think $70K.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of where it's going to land out, is where does this compete with the Cybertruck's price? Because the Cybertruck, I felt, was very aggressively priced, especially with the different tiers.
Yeah, so I don't know if the $70K price for the Hummer is their starting price or if that's kind of the higher tier, what we're seeing, what we saw in the reveal. But the Cybertruck definitely has a lower entry point, right, for that single motor, you know, 400.
Yeah, two-wheel drive or whatever.
Yeah, and even that's supposed to have like 500-600 horsepower or something like that. But I guess we're comparing the top tier tri-motor with sort of the stats we're seeing here in the Hummer. But yeah, they said 3 seconds for the Hummer EV, 2.9 for the Tesla Cybertruck.
Right in there. And they said 3 estimated. Let's see where they land. Okay, let's just see where they land.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know where they're getting their batteries, but that's a topic for another day. But range-wise is competitive sort of with the Cybertruck, right? So they're saying that they can get up to 350 miles of range, which is really closer to the lower end of the Cybertruck, which on the top tier configuration is supposed to get over 500 miles of range.
Yeah, but what I'll say is, I don't think we posted the video, but we prior had a discussion over what does the range need to be on an EV? And I said 350, and they come out with 350. I think that's perfect. You know, I think that's exactly where you want to be. You can get a lot of places there and back with, you know, comfort. I feel like that's a perfect range to land in.
I agree.
The trade-off, of course, is the weight of the batteries or whatever else to the range. I think, man, they nailed it with that.
I agree. Yeah, no one's certainly going to be complaining that they can't get, you know, between chargers or something like a first generation EV, you know, where you're looking at 100 to 150 miles.
Yeah, I mean, I also have to keep in mind that they're marketing this as an off-roader, right? So going out into, you know, in my place, the woods, or in their video out to the desert, out to the rock areas. But I still feel like 350 is plenty of range. You know, you hit a rural destination, you're planning on that. Now, it will be interesting to see how that actually evolves. I mean, me personally, I can carry some gas cans if I want to really get out into the woods or whatever.
Right.
I don't think that, I don't know, maybe a generator can charge that thing, but I don't think it would be very effective.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, with the range being acceptable, it'll be interesting to see, though, as more manufacturers come out with EV offerings, how that will time or align with the charging infrastructure that's non-Tesla, right? So
yeah,
when you buy a Tesla, you do have the confidence that you're going to have, access to their supercharging network. They build those out, pretty linearly with their demand and the number of vehicles on the road. Whereas, companies like Blink and ChargePoint that are providing sort of just, white box charging for these cars is that going to become an issue if there's, a huge adoption of these cars over the next few years? I don't know. Well,
and you see that in cell phones, right? So, you ever see someone that has a Samsung versus an iPhone? Oh, your charger doesn't work for my phone. And it used to be worse, back when there was lots of different manufacturers that had mainstream phones that all had different charging platforms. Now, I think that we need to get to a standardization of a wall outlet is the same in the U.S., anywhere in the U.S. Now, I know internationally it's different, but we all got to standardize this, right? Yeah. At some point. This could be a need.
Yeah, in the meantime, they're selling a lot of adapters.
Yes.
So, okay, that covers drivetrain. Comparable, definitely competitive with the Cybertruck. Let's talk about other features. So, one thing that stuck out to me in this unveil promotion was the auto lane assist. So they're not claiming Autopilot, right? And a lot of cars like outside, I think it's important to note that a lot of cars outside of Teslas and, this Hummer do have, adaptive cruise control and, lane change assist, right? Yep. So, sort of Autopilot, but not completely hands-free. So Teslas now, and with the Cybertruck too, they're going to include with all of the models Autopilot, which basically is going to be adaptive cruise control and lane assist. And then if you want to purchase the full Autopilot package, which right now is an $8,000 add-on, that's the from on-ramp to off-ramp completely hands-free, or touching the steering wheel every few minutes, whatever it might be. So it doesn't sound like Jeep or the Hummer is going to be able to do that, which makes sense. I don't think GM's Autopilot infrastructure is as sophisticated as Tesla's. But it is interesting that they are saying, hey, we are getting into that game, right? Where we want to say me too, like, you can go hands-free, to some degree. So that's interesting. One of the biggest differentiators, I think, was the rear wheel steering. They call the crab walk or crab mode. That I have not seen before. I've seen four-wheel steering, but both the same direction.
Of course, the Prelude, 3000 GT, they all had that four-wheel steering, rear-wheel steering. This, though, in a mode that you actually want to go diagonally. I've never seen that before. Interesting. Functional, though? Really?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. Maybe there is use, but I think it's just kind of cool. I don't know.
For those who haven't seen it yet, both axles, front and rear, can turn the same direction to, it looks like, the same angle. So
so 10 degrees cocked.
Yes, the car can move horizontally. What I'm curious to know, though, is if you can cock the back wheels that far of an angle over, can you have them go adjacent and have really sharp turn radius, or sort of a circular drive motion? That'd be interesting. So that's something that the Cybertruck does not do. It's got fixed rear wheels,
which every other car ever made basically has had, and it has not been a huge issue for main driving and stuff. Like, it's not a big deal,
right? It's definitely a what do you call it? A nostalgic
feature, not a benefit. I think they say in tech,
Yeah, and a cool to have, not must have, for sure.
Yeah.
But it caught our attention, certainly. Charging. So this was interesting too. So I believe that the Tesla Cybertruck and maybe all the other Tesla models right now are doing 250 watt charging. But the Hummer EV claims 350 kilowatt charging, so 100 miles plus in 10 minutes, which is a little bit better than what Tesla's claiming for their charge performance. But is the infrastructure going to be there to support that, is the question.
Yeah.
Are there 350 kilowatt chargers out there that are going to be readily accessible?
And you kind of brought up a good point. Where are they sourcing the batteries from? Are they going to last a long time? Or what does a battery swap cost on something like this with the fast charging? Because I think that's kind of the trade-off, right? With a Hummer, I'm not buying that for a year or two.
I guess more to come on that. Tire size, comparable, I think a little bit larger than the Cybertruck. Something that they promoted, I think, a lot with the Hummer EV was the custom drive modes as well. So I don't know if you've seen this, but I don't think Tesla's really talked about. They may have different drive modes and things baked in that they just didn't advertise
they have
yet.
Plaid and those super modes.
Yeah. But their drive modes seem to be, with the Hummer EV, really appealing to the off-roader, right? So,
and I should say, like, all Chevys have that, right? So, like, my Corvette had, of course, the Touring Sport race or whatever, all that track, I think it was. And they have the adaptive ride control. So they have the air shocks and everything. They can lift up, I think it was 6 inches or whatever,
Yes.
which is a huge amount. Just for reference, my Colorado out there has the ground clearance of 8.9 inches. So you're basically, increasing your clearance by the clearance I have on my truck. So that's a big deal. And you also, can't discount. Now, I know other cars have this, but very sophisticated cameras, including the undercarriage camera. So you can kind of see, am I going to clear that rock, or is it going to be a problem?
That was cool, and I don't know if Tesla's talked about having that. That's definitely a differentiator. I will say on the adaptive air suspension, though, Tesla does offer that.
Oh, great.
So they not only have adaptive dampening, but also adaptive ride height with independent air suspension on each wheel. So
Nice.
And it's weird that, Hummer said they're the first ever to do that. Clearly not. But the other thing that Tesla does have that I think is a cool differentiator with the adaptive, air suspension is that they've actually tapped into the air compressor. So the Tesla has an onboard air compressor that you can use for, pneumatic tools or whatever. And I don't know if the Hummer's thought through that, but
yeah, I know vehicles with air suspension that have the compressor, but never you're saying like it has an input for like a airline?
Like
you can just...
Yeah, like you can plug in like your nail gun and
cool.
just
Hey man,
inflate your tires. It. Yeah. And that's another note too on those kind of quirky features. The Tesla also, with their batteries and their sort of onboard charging system, they've also provided outlets at 110 volt and 220 volt.
Oh,
so you can
got some 220 out there.
If you want to bring your washer and dryer out into the woods, you can. The Tesla acts as a generator, which there was no note of that either on the Hummer, and I'm going to guess that it doesn't have it because for most of the video, they went bullet for bullet with all the things that Tesla touted.
Yes.
The underbody cameras, as you're saying, sorry to interrupt, were super cool. The fact that you can see what you're driving over, that's going to be an attractive feature, I think. And then the last differentiator is the removable roof. Right?
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the ability to remove the roof panels.
It's a cool experience, isn't it? Like being in an open top vehicle, just cruising. Now, does the Cybertruck have the glass roof like some of the other Teslas have, or is it a solid roof?
It's a glass roof like back past the pillar, so pretty much anything from your line of sight from the driver and passenger view I think is going to be glass, but behind that
Backseat's not so
it's
much.
That brings up another good point is the retractable trunk gate on the Tesla.
I don't know. Doesn't mean a lot to me. However, you talked about this, not to discount that fact, that is actually kind of cool, but you say that this guy went shot for shot with the Tesla, but they didn't throw any baseballs at the window. They didn't try to shoot the thing. I mean, the Tesla does have some pretty substantial build quality claims that are pretty cool. I mean, to be honest with you, like if you're going off roading, I mean, heck, I was out in the woods the other day and I got all these tree branches scratched and everything. You have that? Is it a stainless steel body on the Cybertruck?
Yeah, cold rolled aluminum steel, same one from that they're using on their rockets, their new rockets. Supposed to be like bulletproof 2.9mm. They got the armor glass too, which the demo, you reminded me of that demo that went horribly wrong. But to Tesla's credit, though, they did demonstrate it live.
Yeah.
We have not gotten that from the Hummer EV. I was really expecting someone to come out on stage and talk about it, to be honest. It was really just a glorified commercial.
With a lot of, I don't know, man. I don't trust it. Let's get a real production vehicle out there and let's talk, okay?
In terms of the overall design, though, I do think it's going to be easier for GMC to go to market with this than the Tesla. With how dramatic the design is and the materials and everything, I think Tesla's going to have a harder time getting their Cybertruck through, compliance and safety and manufacturing. Right? They've already had to say that they've had to scale back a number of things. Where this really isn't like too far out of the realm of the chassis and the body style that they're already putting out.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to actually see the speed to market for either of these two. Tesla's known to create buzz really early on. Like their stock's actually dependent sort of on that phenomenon.
The Roadster?
Right. We haven't seen that still, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if, it could be that GMC has been working on this, behind the scenes for a while, and it's further along or as far along as the Cybertruck. But this whole reveal does have me thinking that, between now and when my Cybertruck delivers, there's probably going to be a lot more compelling offerings in the electric truck space.